Welcome to Taco
Ball
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, my brother.
Happy Tuesday, JC. And might I say, happy anniversary early.
Oh,
happy anniversary to
Dr. Shane,
your better half. Shout out to AC and Caledonia, our number one supporter of the pod.
Yes. Oh, speaking of, I got called out by my wife on the YouTube comments, on the Facebook comments, and directly. She hit me hard 3 different ways, wanted to try to embarrass me, was upset about a comment I made last week, so I need to justify what I said. She was very upset that said that the 2016 NBA Finals was the best finals of all time. And she said, well, Michael Jordan wasn't in the 2016 Finals, so how could it have been the best finals of all time? Now, I need to justify a little bit. This is why it's the greatest finals of all time. You had
let's hear it.
Incredibly historical significance, things that had never happened before. One, the Golden State Warriors had a better record than any of Jordan's Bulls teams had ever had that season. All right. 2, no team has ever come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals before. Mm-hmm. All right. So 2 historical significance right there that make this one of the greatest finals of all times. It was 7 games. It was incredible back and forth. Mm-hmm. All right. So you have the best regular season team ever, the greatest comeback in history on that best regular season team ever. All right. Led by the last time we saw back-to-back 40-point double-double games in the finals by LeBron James, the best player on the planet. All right. And we'll get to another player doing a little 40-point double-double back-to-backs tonight. But for those reasons, that makes it the greatest finals of all time. How close that final game was coming down the stretch, knotted up. All right. An incredible block. Game-saving, championship-saving block. And incredible shot to win the championship by Kyrie. Mm-hmm. Defense by Kevin Love on Steph Curry to stop them from putting up a tie at the end. All right. Just incredible stuff going on there. All right. And the first championship in Cleveland in 40-some years, 60-some years.
A starved franchise, for sure.
A starved city.
That was redemption. That was the ultimate redemption story.
The ultimate
underdog story.
Yeah.
Light versus darkness. Taking down the empire. Momentarily, right. I guess.
For a time being.
Yeah.
There was something to celebrate. Summer to celebrate. All right, so
that was a nice blast of the past a little bit, but let's get coming up with.
There's the answer. That's why that was the greatest. Thanks for indulging me.
And putting up with me. I can't wait to see what Ann has to say in the comments this week.
Thanks for putting up with me for 8 years of marriage and a few years prior to that. But
well done.
Hopefully, I don't say anything offensive for the rest of this show that you have to call me out on.
Well, it's all right. You'll get to work that out with her tomorrow.
Speaking of 40-point double-doubles in back-to-back games, I think only 2 people prior to Giannis Antetokounmpo have done that in NBA Finals history. And we talked about LeBron and who possibly could have done it the last time.
Oh.
Not with the Orlando Magic at the time, but your boy Shaquille O'Neal.
The big Aristotle.
The only other person to do 40-point back-to-back 40 and 10 rebound games. I think LeBron's he might have had 1 rebound and 1 assist game. His weren't the same, I don't think. But that's it. Upper echelon, 3 guys ever in NBA Finals have gone 40 and 10 back-to-back games. And Giannis has added himself to that, and he's only played in 3 NBA Finals games. So 2/3 of his Finals career has been upper echelon pantheon. And game one, he was still feeling it out from being hurt. So
yeah, that's what is mind-boggling about all this. That's what I was telling the guys I was watching with last night, is the fact that we're not even 14 days removed from that horrible, disgusting hyperextension of the knee. I mean,
oh my gosh, they got to stop showing it on the air.
It's just incredible to me how he's performing at this level, because you tweeted this yesterday, Justin, when he started that game 3 minutes in, when he's on the bench, he's stretching out, he's in the hallway walking around. That had me. I was scared.
He shoots a free throw. He's got 3 points. I think he had like 3 rebounds and 2 assists in 3 minutes. And I'm like, and he's like, yeah, I need to come out. And I'm like,
oof.
No,
I was afraid. I was so scared.
Yeah. And then when they showed him in the tunnel, they had the guy putting ice packs on both knees. I was like, I didn't feel good. I was a little squirmy, but he checks himself back in a few minutes later, and boom, boom, boom.
He proved us wrong. Oh,
slight recency bias when doing these shows. What have you done for me lately? But let's not forget the Suns have won a couple games. What do you got to take away from game one?
Yeah, and before I do, Justin, it's wild that in the last week we've had 3 games. So game one already feels like a distant memory of the past. But game one to me was the Chris Paul game. It was CP3 making his mark, showing up on the big stage, saying to the rest of the Sun squad, I got this. Follow me. He said, walk in my steps, young men. I am the big fella. I'm knocking down shots. I'm showing you how it's done. I will not let this moment get the best of me. It just seemed like whenever the Bucks made a run, whenever they tried to bring the game closer, he was right there with an assist, right there with a big shot. And the fact, his efficiency from 3-point land was incredible. It was on par. So for me, game one, CP3 was on fire from 3.
Yeah. Game one, definitely the Chris Paul game. He has definitely stepped it up. One thing I was enjoying it. All right. I love the Chris Paul factor, that he's never been to a finals before, that he's playing so well, that he's helped turn this team around. All right. But it's almost like watching the game, the announcers and the commentary that I hear like constantly surrounding this just makes me want to root against him, because all I keep hearing is Chris Paul. He's been a winner everywhere he's gone. He's the reason that teams get better. He's this, he's so great. He's the best winner. And I'm like,
veteran leader.
I'm like, he's the best winner. He's a winner everywhere he goes. I'm like, this is the first time ever getting to the finals, let alone hasn't won a championship. I'm like, what are you guys even talking about? Like, they literally talk about him like he is like got multiple rings on the fingers. And I'm like, let's just like slow down with the Chris Paul love. I like Chris Paul. I like his competitive nature. I like what he's done here with the Suns. I think he should have been in a finals prior to now, but he hasn't. So there's a reason that, I don't know. I'm not blaming him, but like, let's wait until he actually wins before we like crown him like the champion's champion or something like that. So just my take, but definitely Chris Paul set the stage game one.
Yeah.
He was the man.
Well, so what you're saying is we'll have to see if all this Chris Paul love and worship is warranted with how they respond in game 4.
Yeah.
And game 5.
I'm not exactly willing to call him a fraud, but I'd like to see him actually win something before we say he's been a winner everywhere he's been. Because I don't know, maybe my memory's a little fuzzy. I don't think he won a national championship at Wake Forest.
I'd have to look it up.
I don't know. Maybe he won something in high school, but I don't know. In any case, game 2, another Suns victory.
Mm-hmm.
The Suns,
double digits.
The Suns hype train is just like off the rails. All right. There's too many people on the bandwagon to support. All right. wheels are falling off because there's so many people climbing on. What was your big
Not just the
takeaway
Suns
from
bandwagon,
game 2?
but game 2 was the Chris Paul hype train. I mean, it was like it was, yeah. We had Suns in 4, hype was everywhere. And I mean, to me, I love, just I think about some of the memorable moments. I think about that 10 pass sequence that the Suns were just whipping the ball around. Now, I think it was maybe like the 7th or 8th pass, was tipped. And so there was definitely a little bit of some desperation, like heaving going around there until they decided on the right shot. But no, I think it really showcased, like, to me, the game 2 showcased more of just how dynamic the Suns' offense is, how they can spread out the load. Mikal Bridges absolutely stepping up, dropping 27 points, I think almost
big time game,
like double, maybe close to triple-double territory, and just gave me a lot more confidence in the Suns going into game 3, thinking that if you had Chris Paul having an off night, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, different guys were going to step up and fill in that void. So game 2 was that kind of complete offensive unit. And honestly, it felt like it was Giannis against the world on the Bucks side.
Yeah, 40-point double-double from Giannis, and his teammates all over the place just let him down.
I do think that what we also caught glimpses of in game 2 was, Giannis at times was struggling to find the right shot selection. I think he really was still playing very aggressively, and he had, I remember seeing this clip on Twitter of him, picking up the dribble and just barreling down for one of his patented like Euro step, fast break layups and absolutely trucking a Bucks defender trying to take the charge. But it just seemed like he was playing in desperation, and he just didn't get enough contributions from the rest of the team. But fortunately, I think that changed in game 3. So
it certainly changed.
What did you see in that game 3? What changed? Help walk that through for
Giannis
me.
Put up the historic back-to-back 40-point double-double. Game 3 got help from his teammates. They played solid defense, all right, and just getting one guy to step up, or one guy to step up per half. And in the first half last night, it was the Duchess of Milwaukee, Chris Middleton, going off. All right. He faded in the second half, but Drew Holiday, who I've been waiting to step up, all right, and be aggressive and attack, stepped up in that second half and carried the secondary offensive load for the team. And then you had the Bobby Portis factor, baby. All right. One of my X factors coming off the bench. He got the eyes going. All right. Nobody wanted to be in his way.
People down.
All right. Just like getting everybody hyped. All right. The hype man, the hype train. All right. Getting the Bucks crowd fired up. All right. So had key contributions. All right. They played solid defense, had anybody else literally step up to help Giannis. And if you have one guy stepping up and solid defense being played like they can play, and you have a guy who's giving you 40 and 10 a night, it makes it very easy to succeed and to win. All right. Like, much less has to go right. If Giannis is giving you that every night, much less has to go right on the rest of your team. All right. Everything can't go wrong at the same time, like game 2. All right. But he doesn't need Middleton and Holiday and somebody else all playing monster games. All right. He just needs one of them, or one of them per half, like they did last night, to step up. All right. And it doesn't help that it didn't hurt that the Suns weren't exactly playing very well themselves. But what was going on with that Suns roster when the wheels fell off? So there in that third quarter.
So before we answer that question, Justin, I do, one other observation just about the Bucks is you could tell how much better they played at home, how much that environment made a difference. And just from Giannis having more confidence going to the free throw line, to like feeding off that energy in the home crowd. They played with so much more confidence, and just, I almost think they played with more trust in each other as teammates. I know that sounds kind of proverbial, but I do think like they were making that additional effort. They were getting some friendly calls from the refs, which I think is, again, just part of the game to be expected for the home team. But there was, I mean, the level of effort was there, and playing with so much more comfort, I think, as a squad. To me, this was the first game where we saw the potential that the Bucks have to play to. And I felt like we were just getting
in this
glimpses
series.
of, yeah, we were just getting glimpses of that in game 1 and game 2.
Okay, because we've seen it in previous series, but this was the first time we saw what they could do.
Yeah.
Because is this their first victory against the Suns this year? I think the Suns swept them 0-2 in the regular season. So I think the Suns won the first 4 matchups this year. This is the first time they've been able to win. But Giannis averaged 40 points in the 2 regular season games as well. So I don't think Giannis looks healthy. I don't think he is going to not be putting up these numbers the rest of this series. So I think it's going to be, can somebody else step up? And I think they've proven to themselves that they can. So
yeah,
the Suns are up 2-1, but in my book, it feels like the Bucks are at the advantage. So as much as one game, because I was expecting last night to be a little closer, maybe tomorrow night's game be a little more of a blowout game, more similar to that Brooklyn series where like they had to fight and claw and scratch to win game 3. And it was close down the line, but like you think, oh, that makes it a 2-1 series. They won that game, but that starts to slip away. It's 3-0. They're not coming out and blowing them out in game 4. They're hanging their heads like the series is over. So for them to come out last night was impressive. I was,
that's where I don't fully agree with you on that one, Justin. I was going into game 3 thinking that the Bucks I was more heavily favoring the Bucks, thinking that their game 3 was desperation game. Game 3 was literally like, we have to win this game or this series is over.
Yeah.
And so I think game 4 is going to be, to me, the Suns are going to shoot much better in game 4. They're not going to let some of their key contributors, namely DeAndre Ayton, get in nearly as early of foul trouble as he did.
How are they going to stop that from happening?
I think they're going to get a little more creatively, a little more creative and different defensive.
They're going to let Jay Crowder get into foul trouble instead.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to figure out. They're going to have to choose. Okay, who do we put in this losing matchup against Giannis to soak up some of the fouls instead of DeAndre? I don't know.
I don't know. I guess big time minutes from Frank Kaminsky ought to do the trick.
But going back to your question, you had a fantastic question, and we had to put on our glasses and do some investigative research here for what happened in the third quarter. Who is the Suns roster when the train came off the rails, crashed down a canyon, and absolutely just like blew up? So shout out to NBA.com. They've got these fantastic game note like PDF summaries. We did some digging, and we get to 3 minutes and 28 seconds left. Pat Connaughton nails a 24-foot 3-point jump shot assisted by Drew Holiday, and that puts them up 85-76. That kicks off a 16-0 run that puts them up by 20 plus points going into the fourth quarter. So who was that Suns roster that played out the bulk of the rest of, again, 3 minutes and 28 seconds in the third quarter? Well, let's take a look. We've got Cameron Payne at point guard, Devin Booker, Torrey Craig, Cam Johnson, and Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah, now, with a few sparing moments by Abdul Nader. It was just Devin Booker playing with 4 bench guys. You get to the finals and you got to shorten your bench. There's less guys you can trust. I understand you got the guys in foul trouble, but like you said, you either got to get creative or you just got to say, we're going to suck it up. I'm not putting these guys in until somebody fouls out. And that's, I mean, you don't get to do any, you don't get to roll your fouls over to the next game. So
that's
I'm playing my best guys until they're out of the game.
That's the question I have for you, Justin. What was Monty Williams thinking, sticking with that roster? Like, what's any sort of logical reasoning for why he stuck with that squad in the game at such a pivotal point in the game for that long?
I think your reasoning is, if I put in the guys that are in foul trouble, or if I have any chance of getting back into this game, I need to run my starters 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. So that's not how I would do it, because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, we could be down 10 going into the fourth. And then in the blink of an eye, they're down 22 going into the fourth instead, or whatever it was. Like it. But yeah, the rationale is, okay, if I'm going to get back into this game, and you're just praying that these guys can hold on. But once it gets to 14, 15, 16, whatever it is, you guys haven't scored, haven't done anything. I'm not saving my timeouts for the fourth quarter. At that point, I'm not even going to put my starters in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Down 22, I'm not putting them back out there. There's no point at that point.
I feel like Monty made a calculated decision that, and almost when the fourth quarter started, I think he almost accepted the fact that, all right, like, we missed our window to win this game. So what's the point of riding my starters? We've got to cut this loss and prepare, get in the mindset for game 4.
Yeah, we'll go into game 4 and try and get a split in Milwaukee and really tilt things in our favor. But I don't know. That was that was rough.
Yeah, it went downhill very quickly, and he probably wasn't anticipating that. I don't even know how much Coach Bud on the other side was anticipating how well they'd play. But I mean, credit to the Bucks, because that is when the whole game was just kind of turned on its head. So, anything else for game 3 before we hit some?
No, I want to know what we're looking forward to coming up here. We've got some stuff to throw out at you.
Yeah. So my first one thing I'm going to be watching for the rest of the series, and I said this in our finals preview, was Giannis's free throw shooting. He was cool, calm, and collected at the free throw line last night. You know, you saw the Bucks crowd. He went to the line. It was like they were imploring each other to be quiet. They were just like
stop breathing.
They stopped breathing. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. You could hear that one Suns fan. It was, orange head to toe, like screaming at the top of his lungs. You could hear that one guy. It was that quiet. And sure enough, he steps up the line. He makes 13 out of 17. So I'm looking at game 4, game 5, any game on the road in Phoenix, and I'm looking to see how the Phoenix Suns crowd gets in his head, and that efficiency is definitely gonna drop. And those points that he leaves on the table could be the difference in a game for one of these closer games that we're inevitably going to see.
Yes, sir. All right, I've got something. It's not on our list here, but this is what I was looking at coming into the series, and it has not disappointed me. The trend continues. Devin Booker, who I said had his best series in round 1 and has steadily declined. All right, who has been somewhat inconsistent, as people might say, since about the middle of round 2. I was looking at his inconsistency in last series, up and down games, and in 3 games so far, he has yet to disappoint me. Game 1, 27 points, not too bad, but let's take a look. 8 of 21 from the field, 38%. He had 10 out of his 27 points came from the free throw line, and he was 1 of 8 from downtown. So he was getting to the line, which helped a lot bolster that. but 17 points from the field, 1 of 8 from downtown. Not so good. Game 2, his best game of the series. All right. 31 points on 12 of 25 shooting. All right. 7 of 12 from downtown. 7 threes in the game. That's huge.
Nice.
Game 3. Big old dip last night. 3 of 14 for 21% from the field.
Oh my
1
God.
of 7 from downtown and 10 points in the game.
Ooh.
Your leading scorer goes for 10 points, shooting 21%.
That's
this
a
is
forgettable stat line right there.
I didn't even notice he was playing for large stretches. When we went back and looked through who was on the court for that beatdown at the end of the third quarter, and we were like, the only starter on the court was Devin Booker. And I'm thinking, this makes a little bit of sense because I'm out there looking, I'm like, where's Chris Paul? Where's Devin Booker? Well, I haven't heard their names at all.
Why isn't DeAndre Ayton on the floor? Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I will be looking to see if he has a bounce back game in game 4 or if he continues to struggle. Or perhaps some of these younger guys who have never played this many games in a season before starting to wear down. He's never even been in the playoffs, let alone been all the way to the finals. So it is a lot more games. Is that taking a toll on some of these younger guys, on some of the guys that have never had playoff runs before? It's possible. But that's what I was looking at going into the series, and that's what I'm going to keep an eye on as we go. So the inconsistency of Devin Booker, I think, is really going to steer this Suns ship. So if they're going to take a commanding lead in game 4, or if it's going to go 2-2 back to Phoenix, I think it's going to hinge on what kind of game he has. Because he can win them a game even if Ayton's in foul trouble, but he's going to have to put up a 40-point game to match Giannis, because I don't see him slowing down anytime soon.
So one last question about Devin Booker, because I love where you're going with this, Justin. Do you think we could have a game where Devin Booker goes off for 40 plus points and Chris Paul can also have can both of those players have massive games scoring wise and offensively? Or do you think some of this is because so far the Suns have kind of shown that it's kind of like one or the other, scoring offensively? What do you think?
So typically in the games that Booker is having those 40-point games, Paul's getting you 17 to 20 points. And that has been enough in previous series. And that's Paul in a lot of those games has had like ridiculous assist numbers. So I don't think they need both of them to score. I don't think they need 40 and 30 or 30 and 30 from them. I think they need it more from Booker, because Paul can affect the game so many other ways. But I think they really need the scoring to come from Booker. So not to say that Paul can't do the scoring and all the other stuff, because obviously he can, but scoring has not been his biggest strength throughout these playoffs and for actually a lot of years now in the NBA. So I think they need to get Booker going offensively, and I think Paul's the guy to get him going. But I think it also makes it easier if Ayton's out there and they're running pick and rolls, or he's taking up space or clearing things out for them. So
yeah, that's a really good point, Justin. I just want to riff a little bit on what you said. It makes a lot of sense to me the way you broke that down, is that Chris Paul is the facilitator. He's the master facilitator. He's kind of orchestrating all the pieces, and he's at his best when he's able to facilitate. And sometimes he's going to facilitate his own shot making and his own shot creation. I mean, all those like crazy, crossover, like contested fadeaway jumpers he was hitting in the mid range, like that's his shot. Whereas Devin Booker is a guy that he facilitates and contributes by knocking down shots. He facilitates, like he creates more space, opens up more opportunities for his teammates whenever he is stepping into shots, knocking them down. Other guys are, dribbling and kicking it out, and he's knocking it down. Whereas I think what we've seen in a lot of these series so far, where he's struggling, is when he is trying to create his own offense. I feel like I saw this a lot last night, where he was, almost all of his 3-point shots were contested. They were, he had a defender in his face. He had someone that was closing out. And I think he needs to be shooting. Yeah. I think he's going to be getting to those games where he's having a crazy high score impact whenever it's being facilitated by someone else. So that's now something I'm going to be watching for.
Keep the eyes open, baby.
So speaking of young Suns players who may or may not be getting a little tired legs as this series goes on, I want to highlight one of your impact players that was not slowing down at all last night. Your man, Cam Johnson, because I'm not even gonna talk about my impact players, Cameron Payne and PJ Tucker.
Well, Cameron Johnson sent PJ Tucker to the crossroads. That's about the only mention he's going to get, because he just got obliterated, which, to be honest, by the letter of the law, I think that was an offensive foul. But I think they just were like, there's no way we can call this an offensive foul, because
too good.
This dunk has to stand in infamy for forever. And then the look that PJ Tucker gave afterwards, like, we can't take this away. This has to be what it has to be. And I'm all right with that.
and there are theories circulating that the play was challenged just so that the refs could re-watch that slam dunk more repeated times again and again. It was for sure that vicious.
Yeah. So impact players I had coming off the bench in this series, Cam Johnson has easily been the best bench player, I think, for the Suns. He went for 10-3-2 in game 1, 8-3-2 in game 2, 14-5 in last night's loss. And then my other impact player coming off the bench was Bobby Portis, the man behind you. All right. Not very impactful in the first 2 games, but last night with 11, 8-1 is doing some dirty work, some hustle plays, and getting the crowd pumped up. And that's what you want from an impact player. So I think those are the guys coming off the bench that have been making a difference so far in the games that we've been watching.
Yeah. I just loved the energy that Bobby Portis was I like the offensive rebounds, just the tips, the mess he was making in the passing lanes. Like, he was freaking dialed in. And I was loving every minute of it.
Falling on top of people.
He was keeping that crowd engaged.
Wrestling the ball away after the play's already over.
I was getting a little bit of Draymond Green vibes on some of the plays. He just an irritant. Well, Draymond Green would probably turn it up to about 12, and I feel like Bobby Portis had a little bit more boundaries. He didn't take it all the way to the level that he wasn't kicking people in the nuts. He wasn't deliberately trying to punch people in the face. He was.
Yeah, I know. He's a step below Pat Bev.
But it was a joy to watch. I can't wait for him to bring that same energy.
It was almost like the Chris Paul irritant level.
Yeah.
He just hasn't stepped it up. This is like, one step below Rajon Rondo untying somebody's shoe, 2 steps below Pat Beverly, 2-hand jacking you straight in the back, and 3 steps below Draymond Green kicking you in the junk. But hey, Bobby Portis has the chance to get there. But I liked last night. If he could stay in that zone, I think the Bucks are on to something.
Yeah. So we've got a massive game 4 coming up tomorrow night, 9 p.m. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch, but there's there's one other thing, Justin, that we are looking out for. We're desperately longing for that has not delivered in the series.
This is my biggest question.
What does Taco Bell have to offer to us?
I want to know, is there a team that could possibly come back from a halftime deficit in this series? Because should a team complete a comeback being down at halftime, no matter how small that comeback might have to be, all fans are going to get a free, fiery, flaming hot Doritos Locos taco from Taco Bell. The return of the fiery, flaming hot Dorito Locos taco. All right, it has been gone for a while. They have only had the Cool Ranch shell offered. All right, but should there be a comeback in a finals game, there's going to be a comeback at the Taco Bell, and you're all going to get yourself a free, spicy, fiery hot Doritos Locos taco. And that is what I'm hoping for. Yeah. More so than my prediction of Bucks in 7, more so than I believe you are hoping for your prediction of Suns in 6. I just want a free taco from Taco Bell. That's what I'm talking about.
At this point, Justin, I'm just rooting for a comeback win.
Yeah.
Because that's how bad I want that.
Last night I was like, the Bucks need to win this game if my prediction is going to be right. And the team that if Giannis is going to win a title, they definitely have to win this game 3. But halftime deficit, I was thinking, well, maybe if the Suns came back, that wouldn't be such a bad thing because I could enjoy some free Taco Bell. But alas, I was foiled when Monty Williams forgot what he was doing there late in the third quarter and decided to pack it in and play for game 4. So game 4 coming up tomorrow night. I can't wait to watch it. I'm hoping for a comeback, and we'll be providing commentary as necessary.
That's right. I got to give a shout out to some of my friends, my neighbors who came over yesterday. We got Phil and Scott watching the game. Shout out, following this pod now, and have some more guys over tomorrow night for what's going to be, I think, a closer game 4 and hopefully a comeback win in game 4.
Yes, sir.
All
right. As always,
JC, before we sign off here.
I'm good. Follow us on @TacoBallTuesday on Instagram and Twitter for memes, commentary, live tweets during the game, and join us next week for another episode of Taco Ball Tuesday. As always, yo quiero Taco Ball.
Yo quiero Taco Bell, and yo quiero the comeback win.
Yeah, baby.